After Georgia running back Nick Booth helped put away the national championship for the Bulldogs, the season ended in disappointment for the Northern Michigan Wildcats. Seniors like Alejandro Klink playing their last game were bittersweet as to how far they took the team last season, quoting Moneyball by saying, "When you lose the last game of the season, nobody gives a shit." Now, most of these championship players are gone. It's a new era for Wildcats football, so let's meet them. The new starting signal caller is true junior Igor Ingolf, who was under-recruited in his class due to not having a true position, but he's learned for 2 seasons behind Alejandro Klink, and we feel he's ready, as in 2 seasons he's posted about a game's worth of stats, going 10 of 16 for 159, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Running back Willie Waters has lost the starting job to true sophomore Jonathan Tucker, who only ran it 3 times last year. Tucker's a speedster that we have big expectations for this year. At receiver, the biggest contributor from last year who's still with us is junior redshirt Lee Bowen. It's his time to shine as the #1 target after posting 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. Joining him is redshirt senior Nick Pierce, who has 141 yards and a touchdown over 2 years, so it's a relatively inexperienced group being rounded out by 2 true freshmen in Rondani Farioni and Trevor Twister. Shout out to the channel members Rigoberto Ramirez and Raider Bear Comics. At tight end, replacing Rigoberto Ramirez Jr. is Blade Nelson, the junior redshirt, and he has a world of potential. The former JUCO will take his first official snaps with us this year. The O-line's led by senior center Steve Redd and senior right guard Ukemi Copeland, making it about as good as last year's O-line. TNJ's 24 sacks last season is impossible to replace, but JJ Hartman's going to do his best to try. Tough when you haven't had a sack since you were a freshman, though, JJ. Senior right end Dill Burt anchors the D-line, as he has had solid production in his first 3 seasons, but we'll need a jump from him going forward. The starting DTs, sophomore Travis Jones and junior redshirt Wes Porter have never played before, so they're going to need that leadership from Hartman and Burt. At left outside linebacker, Charles Cabral was never really meant to be a starter, and he's very inexperienced. In the middle, it's senior Lawrence Kemp, who has 17 tackles spanning his first 3 years. More inexperience, and they're going to have to be held together by the glue of the defense, the captain, right outside linebacker, senior Miles Burrow. Miles has 136 tackles, 40 for loss, 9 sacks, and 4 picks in his career thus far. True junior A.J. Williams is now CB1, and he has an interception in each of the past 2 years, but we're going to need more from him this year. Joining Williams is senior Paul Rivero with 3 career interceptions, and true junior Keandre Akenji with 1 career pick. Starting at free safety, it's true freshman Jordan Seymour. Shout out to channel member and fellow creator Kaz Cray. He looks to be special. Our second captain of the team, starting strong safety Steve Estes. True junior was also part of that championship roster, and he's been a consistent tackler. We're also going to need him to be more of a playmaker back there. We recruited kicker Jason Johnson a long time ago, and he's finally going to get to start as a redshirt junior. And finally, there's punter Nick Boyd taking the place of Jacques Nitrous. True freshman punter, there's just so much inexperience on this roster thus far. In the Natty, it was 91 overall NMU against 99 overall Georgia. Both teams have taken a step back with some new players, but it's still the Wildcats at a disadvantage. Can they overcome it? The Wildcats open the season in Athens, Georgia at Sanford Stadium, looking to avenge their national championship loss after NMU starts with a field goal. New Georgia quarterback Pierre Woods throws one right at middle linebacker Lawrence Kemp, and Jonathan Tucker rolls it in for a tutty. But it wasn't all rainbows, as Igor Ingolf shows that inexperience we were worried about with a pick across the middle. That swarming Wildcat defense came up big and stopped Phillip Hubbard shy of the marker on 3rd down, forcing a field goal. Ingolf then showed his athleticism, getting the ball downfield to tight end Blade Nelson, and NMU got those 3 points back right before the half. In the 4th, Igor hit Blade Nelson again for a 3-yard score to go up 17 points, and Pierre Woods underthrew an open receiver as Christmas came early for A.J. Williams. But though Igor has the speed and athleticism to get outside the numbers, he's going to have to work on his arm after overthrowing Nick Pierce and being picked off for the 2nd time. That's okay because Pierre Woods is inexperienced as well, and he was dropped by Wes Porter, forcing a 4th and 31. The Bulldogs had no chance in picking up, and Igor came right back downfield with a Mahomes-like off-balance throw to freshman Rondani Fadioni to run up the score and get that revenge on the Georgia Bulldogs by a score of 27-3. J.J. Hartman, TNJ, what's the difference? He had 3 sacks, and we dropped Georgia to 0-2 on the year. Time for the annual Northern Michigan versus Michigan rivalry game, and this year it's at the Big House. Early on, Ingolf has to pick up a big 3rd and 12 to 5th wideout Jacob Morris, and on 3rd and 3 later on, he holds on too long and he's sacked, and the Wildcats gotta settle for 3. The Wolverine drive stalls, and it's a long field goal attempt that falls just short of the back of the end zone, taken by running back / return man Jonathan Tucker down the right side of the field, and speed kills as he MC hammers "You can't touch this" all the way to the house for 6 points, 109 yards. And that'll break the previous record held by the legendary Calvin Mentor by 3 yards. Defenses prevailed until the 3rd quarter, where wide receiver Gabe Johnson took a handoff on a jet sweep right side for 24 yards and a Michigan touchdown to tie the game at 10. First play of the ensuing NMU drive, and Igor's picked off by Butler, the star Wolverine linebacker, and that fierce Wildcat D then stuffed Trevor Canary short of the sticks and forced a field goal. Things were looking worse when Ingolf was dropped in the backfield for the 2nd time by Charles Smith on the day, leaving a 2nd and 22, but it's a beautiful needle thread on the next play to Jacob Morris that leads to an easy 3rd down pickup for Jonathan Tucker. Then Igor hits a clutch pass on 2nd and 2 to freshman Trevor Twister for 21 yards to give the Wildcats a 17-13 lead. Could they hold on? The odd game plan by Michigan to run the ball was oddly working, with Jay Henry picking up chunks of yardage, but they didn't stick with it, putting the ball in Randy Hardy's inaccurate, inexperienced hands, leading to a 4th and 6. But he hits Kevin Preston for the 1st down, sparking a 1st down on the next play to Trevor Canary as well, and trouble was brewing. On 3rd and 6, it was another throw short of the sticks to Coleman as he could not get there, and it was down to another 4th down. Hand off to Jay Henry right side. He gets bottled up, and the Wildcats got the turnover on downs, kneel out the clock, and win at the Big House for the 2nd time. Trevor Twister gets player of the game for his clutch touchdown. This was all about the defense, as Miles Burrow played really well today. The 14th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels visit the number 5 Northern Michigan Wildcats, and some highly touted recruits make their visits in. Igor Ingolf starts selling early with a 1st quarter interception to Guy Thompson that leads to this Julius Matthews throw to Joe Matthews, no relation, for a score on the very next play. A give to Jonathan Tucker on the next drive converts a 4th and 3 and sets up the option keeper by Igor for the tying tutty. Later in the quarter, Ingolf converted this 3rd and 10 with a huge throw to Lee Bowen. Later that drive capped it with a 10-yard strike to freshman Rondani Fadioni to take a lead. After the half, the Matthews connection works again to set up this wild rollout by Julius and the throw to Sharp, who walked in for a touchdown, but it's offensive pass interference. And then a false start lining up for a field goal took the Heels right out of field goal range entirely. Igor Ingolf tosses it right side. Blade Nelson makes a great catch and move to get into space and chunk the field. Later on, he goes right back to Nelson for a 7-yard touchdown and a 2-score Wildcat lead. After a stop on D, it's Igor tossing one up, and it's Trevor Twister with a great adjustment for another Wildcat touchdown. Ensuing Tar Heel possession, it's Julius Matthews hitting Thomas Williams down the left sideline for a gain of 42 yards. But he launches one into the end zone, and Paul Rivero picks him off. And it's Igor Ingolf showing that game-breaking potential, throwing Trevor Twister open. And The freshman took it 69 nice yards to the house to seal the deal, as Igor finishes with 5 total touchdowns on the day in a 35-7 dismantling of the number 14 team in the nation. First MAC conference game in this 5th season of NMU football, as Toledo rolls in with the Wildcats hosting more important recruiting prospects looking to impress. And that started immediately as Jonathan Tucker takes the opening kickoff right side of the field, and he speeds by everybody playing for the Toledo Rockets for a 97-yard kick return touchdown. But Toledo wasn't going down that easy, as their star running back Keith Johnson took a handoff to the left side for 30 yards into the red zone. And to cap off the drive, Toledo quarterback DJ Wilson hits Curtis Benson for the 2-yard tying score. Then during a decent drive trying to answer that, Igor is smacked and he loses the football. It is scooped up by captain of the defense, Chris Baker, and he hustles into the end zone for a Toledo lead. The answer to that? Well, it's this roll right and toss from Igor to Trevor Twister for not only a huge first down, but tack on a 15-yard face mask as well. And the give to Jonathan Tucker makes it too easy. Tie ball game. 3rd and 1 for the Rockets, and DJ Wilson is dead to rights, but he tosses it to a suddenly wide open Joey Fernandez for Toledo to regain a lead. Late in the 3rd, still down 21-17, Blade Nelson picks up a huge 3rd down to keep a Wildcat drive rolling on, and roll it did with a 20-yard sideline strike to Trevor Twister, and this Jonathan Tucker run was again too easy. Wildcats had the lead again. Next drive for Toledo, and the 48-yard tying field goal is no good. That's going to lead to this long toss from Igor Ingolf to Rondani Fadioni for 39 yards. And that would make way for a 19-yard beauty to Nick Pierce. Wildcats by 10. Then the defensive line wreaked havoc on DJ Wilson 2 plays in a row. After a beautiful throw on 3rd and 22, it was 4th and inches. Speed option, Miles Burrow blows it up. Ball game over. Jonathan Tucker was player of the game, and the Wildcats, although tougher than they thought, do win their opening MAC game of the season over Toledo, 31-21. It's the final out-of-conference game of the season as the 4th-ranked Illinois Fighting Illini roll in, just like all these visiting recruits keep doing week after week. Illini trying to set the tone early. But quarterback William Smith is dumped in the backfield on 3rd and 1. Igor Ingolf came out of the tunnel on fire with a strong 28-yard connection to Trevor Twister. And then on 1st and goal, he takes it himself, and he finds a way into the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown. Igor stood hot as later he would launch one deep right side back in the end zone to Lee Bowen for another 6. And after a great punt return from Johnny Tucker from the 31-yard line, Igor does it again, this time rolling right and hitting Jacob Morris to put the Cats up 21 at the half. First possession after the half ends like this. Igor with a 25-yard dime piece to Lee Bowen, and the Wildcats were embarrassing the number 4 team in the nation. That embarrassment continued as the Illini thought they had some momentum after a field goal, but it's tough to hold on to that when Jonathan Tucker is the beast that he is, taking the ensuing kickoff right side for 103 yards. To make it 35-3. The Illini weren't going to go down that easy. They got a short touchdown pass and then got an onside kick recovered by freshman halfback Dorian Moore. He's the one who capped that drive off with a short tutty. But it's too little too late, and it's a 35-17 win for the Wildcats. And Igor Ingolf is proving that the pressure of leading this Natty Championship loser is not too much for him. It's the annual Northern Illinois rivalry game, and this NIU team almost has as many different starters as our Wildcats, but they get started right away as new NIU quarterback Andy Goddard hit Jacob Jones for a 48-yard touchdown strike and early lead. Wasn't looking good for NMU. The Husky defense was swarming Ingolf. On the other side, Andy Goddard was ready to play. He would hit Nick Taylor for 25 yards on the left side of the field, but eventually his inexperience shone through as he was picked off in the end zone by freshman Jordan Seymour. and the Wildcats had some new life. Third down, where NMU was unsuccessful till this point, as Rondani Fadione makes a great play to not only catch it, but break free from the Husky defense and take it 69 nice yards for the tying touchdown. The next drive would be Andy Goddard's turn to get swarmed by a defense, and then Igor hits Trevor Twister for 22. And NMU running a play with 5 seconds left in the half. It pays off as Lee Bowen scores for 6. In the third quarter, it was Igor Ingolf with a dime again to Rondani Fadione for the second time in the game to extend that lead to 21-7. In the fourth quarter, a horrible offensive play call becomes a turnover on downs, and it leads to Farione's third touchdown catch of the ballgame. Andy Goddard tries to make a big play, but he can't get it over Paul Rivero's head. He had a man, couldn't do it, and his second turnover yielded an NMU field goal. With 49 seconds to play, Goddard hits Jacob Jones again for a big play. Then it's Nick Taylor who gets a 32-yard touchdown catch for a little respect. 2-point conversion was good, onside kick was not, and NMU wasn't done as Igor launches one into the end zone to Nick Pierce for a 36-yard touchdown, running up the score on the Rivals for a 38-15 win for Northern Michigan as Igor Ingolf remains hot this season. 5 touchdowns in this one. Hot start to the season for the Northern Michigan Wildcats, and frankly, it's unexpected. So many new starters have played very well, and the combination of upperclassmen leaders like Miles Burrow, Steve Estes, J.J. Hartman, and Lee Bowen, and the new freshmen Rondani Farione, Trevor Twister, and Jordan Seymour have this team better than expected. The dual threat from Igor Ingolf and dynamic play of Johnny Tucker doesn't hurt either. All MAC games from here on out with only 2 teams above 500, and we're going to start with one of them in the next episode, the Rivalry of Eastern Michigan. Do we run the table this season? Tell me in the comment section below. Thank you, channel members, for all of your support for this channel. Shout out to TClank24 and Christian Horn, our franchise quarterback. Special shout out to our only general manager, Matthew Hackett. Love you, FG fam. Wildcats country. Let's ride.